My name is Keiko Nakamura. I am 72 years old, and I have lived long enough to understand that a peaceful dwelling does not depend on its square footage. In my homeland of Japan, residences are modest compared to Western standards. Yet step across the threshold and you will discover something remarkable: tranquility that settles into your bones, spaciousness that exists not in measurements but in mindfulness. The secret is not minimalism for its own sake, it is reverence for what remains. Each possession has earned its place. Every corner has permission to rest. Nothing lingers merely for possibility's sake. My younger sister once told me that Westerners believe disorder comes from owning too much. But true disorder, I have learned, arises when we keep what no longer nourishes our spirit. We do not merely organize our dwellings in Japan, we give them our respect. This quiet devotion transforms daily existence. Perhaps you wonder, could one small change in how you see your surroundings alter how you feel each morning? Not through discarding everything, but through adopting practices that have guided Japanese households across generations. I grew up in Osaka during harder times, in a dwelling where 3 generations shared 4 small rooms. My hands learned pottery before they learned writing. I discovered how to shape clay with patience, how to honor the empty space inside a bowl as much as the vessel itself. When my beloved husband departed this world, my son, who had settled in Oregon many years prior, invited me to join his family. I packed only what held meaning: my grandmother's ceramic tea set, a calligraphy brush my husband gave me on our 40th anniversary, photographs held together with silk cord, and something weightless yet precious: the customs I absorbed from a culture where simplicity carries spiritual weight. My son's wife had thoughtfully furnished a bedroom for me. Large dressers, expansive shelving, closets promising endless storage. Within 3 weeks, I had quietly removed half of it. Not from ingratitude, but from necessity. One afternoon, I stood before those closet doors and whispered, "This generosity overwhelms rather than welcomes." So I began. One drawer at a time, one mindful breath after another. No fancy containers, no labeled systems, just gentle, persistent adjustments that gradually shifted our household's entire rhythm. I never insisted others follow my ways, but my son's wife began to notice. Conversations flowed more easily. The atmosphere felt lighter. Even disagreements softened. You see, I wasn't merely clearing physical items. I was clearing the weight that invisible clutter places on the heart. I created what many elders yearn for but rarely name: emotional freedom through physical simplicity. First practice: honor emptiness as abundance. Upon arriving in Oregon, I observed how surfaces carried decorative objects, how shelves held collections of things, how abundance meant filling every available space. My son's home radiated warmth, yes, but also visual noise. I said nothing. I simply watched and felt the difference. One morning, I approached a narrow table near the kitchen window. It displayed several small figurines and artificial botanicals. Slowly, I removed everything, wiped the surface clean, and left it bare. Later, my daughter-in-law asked if I planned to replace them with something else. I smiled and replied, "This space already holds something precious." She looked puzzled. "What does it hold?" I answered simply, "Stillness." This is Ma, the sacred interval between objects. Not absence, but intentional pause. In Japanese aesthetics, Ma appears everywhere. In the blank scroll margins, in the floor surrounding a single flower arrangement, in the silence before speaking. Western culture often treats empty space as deficiency. A bare wall demands decoration. A clear shelf requires filling. But I learned decades ago that genuine serenity comes not from acquisition, but from allowing your environment to breathe. Start with one shelf. Clear it, clean it, and resist the urge to replace what you removed. Notice how your eyes rest there. Feel how your thoughts settle. Empty space is not a void, it is a sanctuary. Second practice, release with gratitude, not guilt. When I began simplifying my new dwelling, I treated no item carelessly. There were no hasty purges or garbage bags stuffed with discarded memories. Instead, I held each object, considered its journey, and offered quiet thanks before parting with it. My daughter-in-law observed me doing this with my husband's reading glasses. Worn, no longer useful, yet still kept. I held them gently, touched the frames he once wore, and whispered my appreciation before placing them in a donation box. She asked, "Doesn't that hurt?" I replied, "Yes, which is why I honor the pain rather than ignore it." This is Kansha, gratitude extended beyond people to possessions and experiences. Kansha teaches that everything has served you somehow. A jacket that provided warmth, a book that offered wisdom. Even unused items teach us what we do not need. Rather than discarding with frustration, we release with appreciation. For those of us past 70, letting go carries complex emotions. We see an object and feel obligation. What if I need this later? My daughter gave this to me. I spent money on that. But holding things from guilt is like carrying stones we no longer require. It does not preserve memories, it buries them. When something has completed its purpose in your life, it deserves respectful release. Hold it, remember what it provided, and if its work is done, thank it sincerely. True simplification begins not in your closets, but in your heart. Third practice, store vertically, see clearly. Opening my bedroom dresser revealed layers of fabric pressed flat, each item buried beneath others. To retrieve one garment meant disturbing many. This common storage method creates both physical strain and mental confusion. I quietly began reorganizing, not discarding, but rethinking placement. Instead of stacking like layers in a cake, I folded each piece small and stood them upright, side by side like books on a shelf. This method, called tatyoki, transformed everything. I extended this practice throughout the home. Kitchen tools now stand in containers rather than pile in drawers. Important papers file upright in folders. Even linens tuck side by side rather than crush into deep stacks. Suddenly, I could see everything simultaneously. No bending, no digging, just simple accessibility. For aging bodies, this reduces physical strain. For aging minds, it brings clarity. No hidden disorder, no forgotten items, just peaceful, visible order. Try this with one drawer today. Your socks, perhaps, or kitchen towels. Fold them, stand them upright, give them structure. Tomorrow, when you open that drawer, notice the difference. Peace sometimes comes not from owning less, but from seeing clearly what you already possess. Fourth practice, maintain balance through exchange. After creating my peaceful space, I knew that careless acquisition could quietly undo everything. I adopted a simple principle. If something new enters, something old must depart. Not from rigidity, but from awareness. Even beautiful things without boundaries become excess. This practice changed my relationship with shopping. Bringing home something new meant asking, "What will I release in return?" Often I realized I did not need the new item at all. My drawers remained spacious. My shelves never felt heavy. I lived not with less, but with equilibrium. In many households, accumulation happens gradually. We purchase things on sale, just in case, or from mere habit. Each item arrives with the vague promise to find space eventually, but eventually becomes never, and the burden grows alongside the guilt. This one in, one out practice interrupts that cycle. It offers a moment of reflection, a gentle boundary asking, does this fit the life I am living today? Next time something new enters your home, pause and look around. What item has quietly finished its purpose? Let it go and feel the satisfaction of creating space with intention. Fifth practice. Listen to what objects tell you. I move through my dwelling slowly, not from age alone, but from attention. When I pause before a shelf or open a cabinet, I am listening. Some possessions, I sense, have grown weary, not damaged or broken, simply complete. A chipped cup I have not used in years, a faded photograph I no longer connect with, a once cherished trinket that has become background static. These items served their purpose and offered their joy. Now it is time to release them. In Japanese thinking, objects carry energy, tsukumogami in folklore, though I take this more as metaphor. Still, it reflects deep respect for our possessions. I see my belongings as companions, some for a season, others for a lifetime. I do not follow categories or checklists. I follow intuition, asking, does this still bring vitality to the room, or does it merely occupy space? As I released the tired things, my home began to breathe. My mornings felt clearer. Decisions came easier. The space did not just look better, it felt alive again. Walk through your home today. Let your eyes settle naturally. Pick up one item and ask, does this still belong with me? If it no longer speaks to you, give it permission to rest elsewhere. The more we release what has finished its story, the more space we create for peace. Sixth practice, daily moments of care. Each morning, as light filters through the curtains and the kettle begins its song, I tend to one small area of my home. Not the entire house, not following a schedule, just one surface. A countertop, a side table, the bathroom sink edge, a gentle wipe, a quiet straightening. This is not about completing tasks, but about honoring my space with presence. This comes from Suji, cleaning not from obligation, but as daily respect. It is not saved for weekends or guests. It is not about scrubbing. It is about consistency. A few minutes each morning that clear both space and spirit. This ritual prevents chaos before it begins. My 5-minute practice brings morning clarity. More importantly, it grounds me at the day's start. Over time, I noticed those areas stayed tidy longer, not from enforcement, but from respect. For those of us facing the changes aging brings, this ritual offers something vital: control, comfort, and dignity. Tomorrow morning, before your day truly begins, find one small spot. Wipe it, straighten it, step back. Feel how 5 mindful minutes can change your entire day's pace and peace. Seventh practice, move with the seasons. I never view my dwelling as fixed. To me, it shifts with seasons, subtly, softly, like the trees outside. Rather than decorating based on trends, I follow Shun, a tradition rooted in staying connected to seasonal rhythms. In spring, I fold away heavy textiles and welcome soft pastels. A single vase with budding branches might grace the entrance. Summer invites sunlight through lighter curtains, removing thick blankets and embracing openness. Autumn welcomes warmer textures and earth tones, perhaps dried flowers near the stove. Winter brings deeper colors, candlelight, and wooden elements that make the space feel grounded. These changes require no expense, mostly rotating items I already own thoughtfully. The purpose is not refreshing decor, but staying in harmony with time. As I have aged, this practice has grown even more meaningful. My home has become my landscape, and through these seasonal rituals, I remain in step with the natural world, even when my body moves less easily. What small change could honor the current season? Perhaps storing that winter throw until autumn returns, or swapping a candle scent from pine to citrus. You need not purchase anything. Simply notice what belongs to this moment and what can rest until its time comes again. Eighth practice: sort by type, not by location. Most people tackle simplification room by room, but I learned this approach leads to confusion. Attempting to organize my living space room by room, I discovered clothes scattered across the hallway, kitchen, and bedroom, documents hiding everywhere, tools tucked into random drawers. Every corner demanded different decisions. It felt overwhelming. So I changed methods entirely. Instead of organizing by location, I began with categories, clothing first, gathering every single piece from every hiding place. Only when everything sat together in one place did I begin sorting. Items that no longer fit, no longer felt like me, or had not been worn in years were released. After that came books, then papers, then miscellaneous household goods. Sentimental items, those heavy with emotion, I saved for last. This gave me time to build confidence before facing harder decisions. This approach simplifies the process. You make one type of decision at a time, which focuses the mind and reduces emotional strain. Most importantly, it builds momentum. Finishing one category brings relief and progress. Start with what feels easiest: shoes, pantry items, paper clutter. Start small and build confidence from that quiet victory. Ninth practice: display only what speaks to your heart. In traditional Japanese homes, there exists a quiet space called the tokonoma, a small alcove holding one or two carefully chosen items. A seasonal flower, a single scroll, a meaningful heirloom, not decoration for impression, but stillness for connection. When I moved to Oregon, I did not fill every shelf. I searched for my tokonoma, a place where intention could live. I found it in a quiet corner by the window. On a narrow wooden shelf, I placed a small ceramic bowl my mother shaped with her own hands. Inside it, one dried sprig of sage. Above it, calligraphy my husband brushed years ago. That small space changed the room's entire feeling. Visitors naturally pause there, drawn by the energy of something quiet yet alive. For many elders, shelves have grown crowded with years of memories, gifts, decorations. Over time, everything blends into background. When everything is displayed, nothing truly shines. Choose one small area, a windowsill, a shelf, a corner table. Clear it, wipe it gently, and place just one object you love there. Let that space become your tokonoma. When you create space for meaning, your home and your spirit begin to feel lighter and more at peace. 10th practice: honor yourself through your space. For me, simplifying has never been about appearances. I do not do it to impress visitors or follow fashions. I do it because it honors who I am today. It is not a chore. It is quiet self-respect, a way of saying, I matter enough to live in a space that supports rather than overwhelms me. My home is not empty or austere. It is thoughtful. Every object has earned its place. Every surface feels calm and intentional. This brings peace that transcends tidy drawers. Too often, simplification is treated like an unpleasant task, something to postpone. But I approach it gently, never rushing, never tearing through closets. I move slowly, making one thoughtful decision at a time. I believe how we care for our space mirrors, how we care for ourselves. When we clear physical clutter, we also make space for clarity, for breath, for stillness. For those of us who have spent decades carrying the weight of possessions, memories, and expectations, this shift can be transformative. I once said, every time I release something, I make more room for myself. Not more possessions, more ease, more space to move, to rest, to live with intention. If you have been waiting for the right time or enough energy, pause and consider. Perhaps you need not do everything. Perhaps you only need to take one step. Clear one drawer, release one item, and let that small act remind you that your peace is worth prioritizing. At 72, I understand something I did not grasp in my younger years. Our surroundings are not separate from our well-being. They are extensions of our inner state. When my environment feels chaotic, my thoughts become scattered. When my space breathes freely, so does my spirit. These practices I have shared are not rules to follow rigidly. They are invitations to experiment, to discover what brings you peace. Some may resonate deeply, others may not suit your life. That is perfectly fine. The goal is not to create a perfect minimalist showcase, but to craft a dwelling that supports your days with gentleness and grace. I invite you to begin somewhere small, perhaps with that one shelf we discussed, perhaps with expressing gratitude to a single item before releasing it, perhaps with standing your folded clothes upright in just one drawer. These small gestures create ripples that extend far beyond what we can see initially. They remind us that we have the power to shape our environment, and in doing so, we shape our daily experience of life. May your journey toward simplicity be gentle. May your home become a true sanctuary, and may you discover, as I have, that sometimes the greatest abundance comes not from what we accumulate, but from what we have the wisdom to let go.